Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time we're talking episode 12 of season 2 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called What You Really Are. And I think part of this episode in a way might be better retitled Marvel's Assholes of S.H.I.E.L.D. guest starring Lady Sif, because this is an episode where quite a few people, for really stupid reasons, act like complete and utter assholes. So let's just kind of get right into things. And well, let's talk about Sif first, and then we'll move on to the agents and just kind of get her out of the way. Okay, definitely cool to see Sif again, and I do like that they are sort of using her as a nice way to sort of maintain contact with the cinematic universe, and in a way set up things for the cinematic universe. Now, if you'll remember, when she gets started in Season 1, she was the first person in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to use the word Kree. That's when Coulson asked her about blue aliens. This time around, she mentions the Kree homeworld of Hala. Now, it really wouldn't surprise me if we get to see that next time in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So, points to Marvel for some thinking ahead and making good use of Sif that way. She also lets us know that the Asgardians and the Kree do not have any love lost between them, which, given the violent history of the Kree, is not unsurprising. And we also learn that Loki's plan of impersonating Odin up in Asgard is going just dandy because he's got Sif out there doing his dirty work for him. Seeing Sif with amnesia, that was also pretty fun. Just her goofy smile and like they brought up the name Thor. That was cool. And of course, she also got to kick some butt, and that's always fun. Points to Sif for showing restraint. Geez, random Portuguese guy. When an angry, dangerous woman with a sword pops up in front of you, what in the world makes you think, like, hit on her in the cheesiest way possible is a good idea? But anyway. So, Sif, once she gets her memories back, her sort of relating to Coulson and her warning him, like, you can't really, well, she doesn't use the term fate, but that's basically what she's talking about. There's like some things you can't fight against. Well, there's this saying from the Art of War that goes, reeds that bend with the wind, in their own way, show resistance. So yeah, Coulson can't fight against the entire universe, and he's up against some pretty big stuff. I mean, the Kree Empire and this whole Inhumans thing. The Coulson is seriously out of his depth here, but Coulson does show that serious strength, the strength that earned him Thor's respect by refusing to step aside and just let Sif do what she wants with Sky. And it's that strength of character. That's the sort of thing that Sif is going to respect, in addition to Coulson's just bravery in general. And it's sort of funny that in an episode like this, it's actually Coulson who, for the most part, is really in the back seat here. I mean, he has his nice moments, standing up for Sky, but really, this isn't very much his story in much of a way. Not a huge amount to say about the Kree dude this episode. I keep wanting to call him Novar, even though I know that's absolutely not his name. But that whole thing where he he attacks them and like restores Sith memory. He's like, okay, I surrender again. I just did that because you guys were just gonna keep going around in circles forever. That was nicely done. And yeah. Now, okay, let me just check something with you. Because I saw a lot of people online were like, hey, Sif wanted to kill Sky. Didn't Sif say she wanted to take Sky to Asgard with her? I don't think she said anything about killing her. I'm pretty sure she wanted to take Sky to Asgard for her own protection. And the Kree dude even made it clear that, yeah, we really don't want the Kree finding out about this, because if they do, they're going to come back to Earth and start experimenting on people again. And give this the Kree agent credit. He didn't really have anything against Sky. He just sort of saw her as a genuine threat, And that's why he wanted to get rid of her. He was trying to actually prevent further violence. And it just sort of adds some depth to the Kree that there are people there who are going to like, okay, those dudes went way too far, and what they would want to do if this happened again, starting these experiments again, that would really be unacceptable from a moral standpoint. I mean, that's really not the sort of stance we get from the Kree, who are usually portrayed as just very much, unrepentant warriors, shall we say. Anyway, that's mostly what I have to say about that front. So let's bring things back down to earth and start talking about our agents. And first of all, on our list of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents acting like enormous assholes, unsurprisingly, we have Melinda May. Now, this episode where she starts off, she's trying to help Skye or sort of deal with all of this, getting into the combat, and, just sort of working it out, And then Fitz comes along and is like, hey, maybe Skye should take a break. And May just turns around and goes like, hey, you want to come back in an hour and I'll give you some training. All right, May. So Fitz shows up showing concern for Skye, and you basically say like, hey, how about I kick your ass? To the guy who until recently was noticeably physically disabled. And oh yeah, you guys aren't exactly friends, but Fitz is probably one of the few people on the planet that you can trust. Now, in all fairness to May, she's only trying to help Skye here. But she's trying to help her in the way that works for her, that works for Melinda May, which is go out there and punch shit to deal with your problems. So, yeah, May is totally turning, Fitz's approach, which is just like, come on, let's show Skye some empathy, and just being unrealistically hostile towards him for that. I literally said at my TV, like, aw man, fuck you, May, when I was watching this episode. And I'm sorry, I don't know how in the world sometimes Coulson really tolerates this from her. I mean, stuff like this, like, if you kind of cross my path, I'm going to beat the hell out of you. I mean, this is going to be really bad for morale. I mean, just look at how things could be in a normal office when we think our coworker makes a comment that is maybe, possibly even accidentally or just a little bit rude to us. I mean, most reasonable people aren't going to flip out and basically challenge the guy to a fight, but that's going to certainly kind of like, well, geez, I'm not going to talk to that guy unless I have to for a while. And it's like, dude, Coulson, seriously, how in the name of God could you possibly think May can take your job if something happens to you? May is a field leader. May is Worf, okay? May's Worf. Coulson knows how to be Captain Picard or Sisko. Captain Sisko. May is friggin' Worf, and like the absolute. Well, okay, I won't compare May to Janeway. Nobody deserves to be compared to Janeway. Poor Kate Mulgrew. But yeah, May is Worf. That's all there is to it. The instinct to just like immediately jump towards violence and sort of be a dick to your friends with the occasional vague undercurrents of, I can and will kill you if you sufficiently annoy me. That's totally Worf, and that's totally May. Alright, I mean, at least Worf had the excuse of being a friggin' Klingon. May is a human being and has no excuse to act this way towards her fellow agents. Alright, you're a grown damn woman, Melinda May. Alright, so continuing on with this, we move on over to Jemma Simmons. Now, here Simmons is a little bit more reasonable. She has good reason to be freaked out by people with superpowers. But what I love about this episode, and man, Fitz has been rocking it these last couple episodes, is that when she's like, okay, if you run into, be super prepared for people with superpowers, and don't be afraid to, use all necessary force and blah de blah de blah. And then she's later on like, well, I don't feel that way about Skye. She's my friend. And Fitz is like, well, yeah, well, Skye's different, and now look at how you're reacting to her. the same way that you reacted to me when I was different. I mean, he nails her that, here, Fitzsimmons is like totally, totally against people with superpowers. When he was damaged, when he was hurt, she pushed him away. And I mean, you can tell he nailed her right there, and the truth of what he was saying to her just really, that was like a knife to the heart for Simmons. But she brought that on herself. Previously, before all this, she was probably, after Coulson, the person on the team that Skye was closest to. And she is being Simmons is right. She's being extraordinarily hypocritical in this situation. You think people with superpowers are horrible potential monsters, except for Skye because she's your friend. But Skye was terrified of you finding out the truth about her, and that's why, of course, that Fitz helped her. Of course, we already discovered this episode that Fitz is also a pretty damn terrible liar. But anyway, way to be an intolerant sort of person, Simmons. And then there's, of course, Bobby, who I kind of think is actually the least asshole-ish of the people I'm going to call assholes this episode. She wants to level with Hunter because she cares about the guy, and she, I think, trusts him perhaps more than I think Mac really feels comfortable with. Well, actually, it's pretty clear that she trusts him more than Mac feels comfortable with. She wants to bring him in on whatever it is they're up to. And I do like that they spell out this episode that they are not actually Hydra agents. And Mac does have that really nice line, is like, just because Hunter loves you doesn't mean that he won't kill you. Because it brings up a really great point. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are constantly saying, like, oh, I can't tell the people this because it'd be dangerous, it would endanger the mission. Have you noticed, Nick Fury and all of our little friends here on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that when the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents keep important information from each other, it always frickin' blows up in their faces? Winter Soldier, enormous example of that. Way to go, Nick Fury. Way to go. And then there's this whole situation here with, whatever's going on with them. Oh, hey, May keeping her relationship with Ward a secret also spectacularly blew up in everyone's face. Skye keeping the fact that she has superhuman powers a secret. It's blown up in her face. It's like, you know what? I understand you guys are secret agents and all this other stuff. But here's the thing. You're a team. And there has to be trust within the team. Now, I understand maybe why guys might not tell each other everything. Like the whole thing with Melinda, with May and Ward having a relationship. All right, now that's the kind of thing I can understand. Maybe you want to keep that quiet. But, well, look what happened. So, this is the whole thing, is that if you can't even trust the people who are closest to you, then what exactly are you going to be able to accomplish? Because if that's the case, if you can't do that, then other people are nothing but tools. And it's just going to be this constant dance of paranoia. Now, I understand the idea of need to know information, but again, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are really spectacularly bad about judging who doesn't need to know stuff, and this constantly blows up in their face. And they never seem to learn from this. It's just like, guys, a little honesty with each other. Making sure that everybody is on the same page would probably go a long way. I'm just saying. But what's really funny in this episode is that when Bobby is sort of talking with Hunter about this everything that's going on, and you can kind of tell that she wants to bring him in on what's going on. It's all of that stuff, for those little things that finally really tip Hunter off that, yeah, something serious is going down and that he needs to deal with it. And I love how instead of trying to press it with Bobby, because he knows Bobby, he knows that he's not going to get this out of her. He goes and confronts Mac, and he lays it out. It's like, dude, I've been watching. I totally know you two have something funny going on. Now level with me, dude. What's happening? And then Mac's idea is like, I'm just gonna put a sleeper hold on you. Like, oh wait, I'm in a secret base full of other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and you're not gonna be unconscious for very long. Wow, dude, Coulson was wrong. You are totally not cut out to be out in the field. You should stay under the hood of those damn cars because you are spectacularly bad at planning. I mean, seriously, you just could have denied everything, and eventually Hunter would have gone away, probably go to talk to Bobby. But at least that would have given you time to maybe get a hold of her before he got there and come up with something. Instead, you've got an unconscious agent on the floor who is not going to be unconscious for long, and when he wakes up, oh boy, are you in the shit. And to Coulter's credit, we don't really get to see a stance on him when the whole "Hey, Sky has superpowers" thing explodes. If you look really carefully, you can kind of see him face palming in the background when he notices that Sky has overheard the entire conversation, which sort of indicates that he's at least thinking about Sky as a person a lot more than Mac and Bobby and Simmons are. And I love the way Fitz totally stood up to Mac and Bobby this episode. I mean, he's like, "Hey, you're yammering on about people with superpowers being a monster. Well, how do you think this makes Sky feel? Because this is someone you know, and you know that having powers doesn't do this to you, because Sky is still the same person she's always been." In a way, it sort of feels like they might even be sowing the seeds for Captain America's Civil War. Should people with superhuman powers be forced to register with the government or not? Should people with superhuman powers be basically press ganged into S.H.I.E.L.D? And speaking of superhuman powers, those diviners are still missing. So I have the feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before long. And yeah, Sky herself this episode, man, what an emotional ringer. She's just on the edge the whole time. And I love how Sif was really impressed by her willingness to basically shoot herself with the night gun in order to try and end things. Oh yeah, we also noticed that May's training of Sky in terms of "Hey, keep calm" has failed spectacularly. Way to go, Agent May. You're just screwing up all around today, aren't you? Coulson, seriously, man. At this point, I'm starting to think Hunter might be the best choice for leader if something happens to you, because he seems like one of the more reasonable people. I mean, I hope to God he takes you up on that become a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent full-time thing, because God knows he seems like he is one of the few people in this place that has their head screwed on straight. And that's saying something. So guys, with that, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.